Have you read the Ice Crescent Rogues Brotherhood series yet?
Oh, no.
You must. You must.
Is it good?
Incredibly good.
Oh, awesome. I can't wait to read book 1.
Oh, well, book 1 isn't the best.
Oh,
But once you get past it, it's just awesome. Except, honestly, the first 3 aren't really a lot of people's cups of tea. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, I'd say the first 15 are kind of a slog. 20, really? But after that, so good. So good.
can I just start at book 20?
No!
Hi, my name's Bea. Welcome to my channel, Mama Needs to Read Romance, and figure out where to start reading in a series.
But once you get through those, you'll just love it.
Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well, and I am so excited to talk to you today about my March reading wrap-up. It was a roller coaster. In the month of March, I read 16 books, 2 of which were 6 stars, 2 were 5 stars, 2 were 4.5 stars, 3 were 4 stars. I had a 3.5 star, a 3 star, a 2 star, and I DNF'd 4. I want to know your thoughts on the ones that I decided not to finish. I have different reasons for each. As always, let's start at the top and work our way down. We've got 2 6 stars. The first one was a reread just for the summer by Abby Jimenez. This one came out in 2024. A great way for her to tie up the first 2 series that she'd ever written in a beautiful, beautiful bow filled with Easter eggs, characters we've met before, and an emotional storyline that kept us laughing, crying, and so thrilled that we could talk about it live this past month. Referring, of course, to Tara of Tara Talks books, Dana of Dana Ella, Kaylani of Kaylani Simply Me, and Karina of She Dreams in Words. Our Abby Jimenez read-along is coming to a close very shortly. I can't believe it. This was a great place to begin saying goodbye to the series. My other 6 star was Forever Your Rogue by Erin Langston. I am obsessed. Everyone I know that's read this book pretty much has either given it 4, 5, or even 6 stars. This was part of 12 Recs by 12 Friends over on the Tea and Biscuits Discords. I want to thank Lisa for recommending this book that has now made me do a deep dive into this author and just want to eat up all of her backlist. We have a woman who is desperate to keep something that she may lose due to custody rights back in the day. She needs this cad who owes her a favor to pretend to be her betrothed for a certain amount of time until she can hopefully get the legal rights that she needs to these pieces of herself that are incredibly important. The tenderness with which Erin Langston writes, the settings, the sweeping story that gives us more than your regular dose of empathy. I just ate this up. The love scenes were amazing. The pining, the character growth, good night. I mean, what more could you ask for? If you enjoy historical romance at all and you have not read this yet, I beg you to read it. It's just fantastic. I read it and listened to the audio, and both were exceptional. Will M. Watt is the male narrator, and I am now a super fan. Let's talk about our 5 stars. I've got Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. So grateful to have had her on my channel in the month of March. We got to talk about all of the incredible work that she does. If you don't mind dealing with quite a bit of grief, which this definitely does, I highly, highly recommend this. Do check your trigger warnings though, please, because our heroine is going through such a huge amount of grief, and our hero recognizes that in her because he's experienced it himself. The way that he works her through it is something that I feel like anyone who's experiencing a great deal of grief, they could probably find this very cathartic. It's so beautiful, and you can tell, and we touched on this in the interview, Cara Bastone has experienced this level of grief. This is the kind of grief that you would only be able to write about if you yourself had experienced it. The slow burn was fantastic. I loved the setting, as always, set in New York City. And the other thing I said about her, I love this about all of her love scenes, but there's always such realness and heart in these love scenes that I adore. It's one of those books that gives you a new lease on life. My other 5 star is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This one promises to be as controversial as perhaps her very first published work, The Friend Zone. There are quite a few murky and kind of darker side topics that she covers. She often goes there in terms of relationships between parents and their adult children, but this is an hilarious book. I think overall, the portrayal of this family of Samantha's, our heroines, who's dealing with something that's so difficult felt so real to me. Check your trigger warnings, because if you have issues with pets being in potential peril, that happens multiple times in this story. It was a little bit rough for me because I love animals. Another trigger for me is my mother is borderline dementia. We have our awesome days where I'm like, maybe it's over. And then we have our days where I'm like, okay, you know what? We're just going to focus on the good moments. And that's the thing I loved about this book, because I think overall Jimenez is leaving us with a message that things don't have to be perfect for you to still really enjoy your life, to enjoy people that you love. The moment that you let go of the idea of perfection or the way that things are supposed to be, you can really relish good moments that you're given. And that's something I've learned in spades. I found this to be incredibly deep, extremely moving, also very fun. Let's talk about the romance. We have Xavier and Samantha, who have a terrible meet cute. It'll meet ugly. And it was lots of fun, though. It rapidly turns itself around, and we find a couple that recognizes the feelings that they have for one another, which for many of us who enjoy romance, this is very refreshing. The primary issue is not their feelings for one another or the fact that they want to be together. It's everything else on the outside, which is pushing at them. There are so many obstacles in their path. I enjoyed watching them try to navigate this, and I couldn't wait to see, as we know, romance, it's going to end up with a happy ending, and it does. I really enjoyed seeing how it played out. One of my 4.5 stars for the month of March is Tempt Me at Twilight, which is book 3 of the Hathaways series. Here we have Harry and Poppy. He is definitely morally gray, giving us mafia vibes. In historical romance. He's an American who is a hotelier. He owns a hotel, very popular hotel in London. And then we have good old Poppy, who many of us were really excited to get to see more of her. You know, let's just look at the step back while we talk. We were really excited to see more of her because of all the 5 Hathaways. We feel like she sort of gets outshone by the other ones. So it was really nice for her to have her own book. It gave us sort of Beauty and the Beast vibes because he's kind of a beast. But also I adore the relationship that she develops with the other people in the hotel as she's figuring out her relationship with him. He does whatever he needs to do to get what he wants, which is why I couldn't give this book a full 5 stars. Some people love that and some people don't. It was a great discussion. I've got it linked here. What do we think about heroes that are willing to do whatever it takes to get the woman that they want? It's a good question. And also makes for a very gripping read. Of course, the entire ensemble cast of the Hathaway family was very near and dear to our hearts, so we love seeing all of them and prepping for Married by Morning, which is the read for the month of April. So enjoying this series. My other 4.5 star, Near Perfection, 9 Rules to Break When Romancing a Rake. This is the first of the Love by Numbers series by Sarah MacLean. Everybody I know loves Sarah MacLean. And thus far, I've read Bombshell, Heartbreaker, and Knockout. Now, of those 3, I thought Knockout was by far the best of the Hell's Bells series. I liked her very much, but until I read Knockout, I didn't really get what all the fuss was about. But I will tell you, now I especially do. Sarah MacLean can write a love scene. She can write that slow burn. She can write a rake. Gabriel is just yummy, scrumptious, delicious. I actually asked my channel members to vote for one of the top books that made it almost all the way when we did the best book boyfriend bracket back in February. And Gabriel made it almost all the way. And so I was very intrigued to read this book. We have a gentleman who is definitely a rake. And of course, as always, he's got his reasons. And we have a woman who is tired of just sitting on the sidelines. One night she overhears a conversation where people are like, she's just so passive. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to make a list of things I want to do to live. And she takes the bull by the horns. She's so inspiring. She's so much fun. And I loved how she initially starts out with a kiss. That was one of the things on her list. So of course she goes to this notorious rake to try to get this kiss. This is a gentleman who she's pined for at least a decade. He barely knows that she exists. But rapidly that changes. And this was all kinds of fun. I loved all the different settings, the adventures they went on together as she's completing her let's live life to the fullest list. And of course, over time, he just sees what a diamond she is. We love a story where a gal who's seemingly just a regular gal is actually Wonder Woman in disguise. That's not in the plot, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I enjoyed this immensely. I cannot wait for Gabriel's twin brother's book, which is the next one in this series. Here it is, 10 Ways to be Adored When Landing a Lord. And you know what? Wait a second, I have the step back for this one. I need the step back for this one. Let's look at this one. This is Gabriel's twin brother. So there you have it. Okay. On my TBR. Gotta get this one read. Can't wait. Let's talk about my 3 4-stars. I had the immense pleasure of interviewing Rebecca J. Caffrey the day her novel Pole Position was published in the US and Canada. I had such a fabulous time with this story. The narrators, oh my heavens, their voices are very, very yummy. It's an Formula One racing romance, if you couldn't tell from the cover. These are opposites attract. We've got a gentleman who's been around. He grew up racing. He's getting older, and he's very, very straight-laced, very regimented. And then we have his polar opposite who, because of an accident of a teammate, has now risen up the ranks and is one of the top racers now on the same team with our other hero. Of course, they don't get along initially, and they're at one another's throats until forced proximity forces them to really look at one another and explore the feelings that they're having. Now, I really enjoyed this, and I loved Harper, who a lot of people had issues with Harper because he's exceptionally free and maybe a little immature, but I found his overall character growth to still be generally really impressive. If you're thinking about a Formula One romance, I highly recommend this. Give this a try. It's a great place to start. I so enjoyed getting a chance to interview the fabulous Violet Marsh on my morning show, who confirmed to me how much I adore the historical, archaeological, and anthropological aspects of historical romance. She's great. She even took time out of her busy morning just to chit chat with us and talk about this gem of a book, which is about a woman who deals in archaeology. She loves studying cultures, and she uncovers, in an excavation on her land, a helmet that she then gives to her cousin. Now, this cousin is the one who presents all of her findings and her research to society because, of course, at this time, women weren't allowed to do that. However, her cousin goes missing with this helmet. So she and her cousin's dear friend Alexander wind up working together and going through all kinds of interesting madcaps that you don't tend to read in historical romance, very refreshing, in order to find her missing cousin and the helmet. The other thing I thought was really neat, Alexander actually has a club foot, and the way that Violet Marsh wrote this person overcoming obstacles, figuring workarounds, still being strong and amazing despite this issue, which is always something for him. It's inspiring for any of us that have issues that we need to just figure out how to work around so we can live our best lives. I also really appreciated his admiration of women, which is something that we don't get to see to this level very often. So, of course, the cute pet. Oh my gosh, so hilarious. Lots of good humor, very low spice. So if you're into low spice, this is going to be great for you as well. I really enjoyed this, and I need to read more Violet Marsh. My last 4-star was another fun read, proving to me that I haven't read enough Highlander lately. This is Donna Fletcher's Loved by a Warrior, and I have to thank Abby Jean for recommending this as part of 12 Recs for 12 Friends. This is actually book 2 of a series, but Abby Jean highly, highly recommended it, so I just jumped right over. Although I've heard that you get even more out of this book if you've read the first book in the series. This is about a woman who, she has a curse that's brought down upon her. It's essentially like a marriage curse. Any man who falls in love with her, if they try to marry her, they die. So she is now a pariah in her own clan. She goes off on her own. He rescues her, falls madly for her despite the curse. There's a lot of action in this, like with any Highlander romance that's any good. It was great. And of course, he's kind of like an alpha character, which, you know, I think for a Highlander, it's sort of expected. It's been ages since I read a good, solid Highlander romance, and this definitely proved to be that. My 3.5-star was Primetime Romance. This one came out back in the fall. Didn't get a chance to read it until recently. This is one of my old arcs. This was during a period where everybody had pneumonia in my house. Anyway, this one's lighter on romance, but you know what? I still found it to be fascinating. I really had a good time. If you've ever watched One Tree Hill, Dawson's Creek, Gilmore Girls, and you wish that you could somehow magically enter the show, this would be a great book for you to read. It's very much like the movie Pleasantville, where 2 characters end up going into a television show. Now, of course, in Pleasantville, it's a brother and sister. This is 2 roommates who are friends, but wind up deciding that maybe they're more than that when they're working together to figure out how on earth they're going to get out of this television show. It was a lot of fun, very interesting, and I had a good time. My 3-star is Bridge to Love by Alexa Aston. I love the premise of this story. We have two medieval era people who are madly in love, about to be married, when unfortunately they are unalived on a bridge. They then become ghosts who are on either side of this bridge, never able to come together until hundreds of years later during the Regency period, where we have a new couple who might just be able to work together to figure out the mystery of these ghosts and maybe fall in love in the process. I would have loved a little bit more, but that's the thing with novellas, right? This is how I complain. And I think you could probably enjoy this in one sitting. The last book that I reviewed was Up All Night with a Good Duke by Amy Rose Bennett. This was our Tea and Biscuits historical romance book club pick for the month of March. This was a 2-star for me. It was overall a miss, primarily because there were so many plots happening at the same time. It was hard to know what to focus on, what was important, what we were doing. Also, like, the love scenes were a miss for me. You know, for some of us that love romance, it all hinges on the emotion and the romance and whether that's going to connect for us or not. We talked about this at length. It was really neat, actually, our conversation. I'm linking it here if you want to learn more, because the reactions of our club members to this one, they ran the gamut. We had people that rated it 5 stars down to people that, you know, really disliked it to the point where they DNF'd it. By the way, I should tell you the plot. This is about a woman who wants to start her own women's college, but she's got to get her aunt off of her back in terms of trying to get her a husband. So she decides to enlist this hot hottie to help her by ruining her in a library and hoping that everyone will come in, so everyone will just leave her alone and she go ahead and start her women's college. That's just one of the many plots. There's so much happening. Let's talk about those DNFs. So again, I don't normally talk about my DNFs because I don't want to be negative, but I actually think there's a way to do this that's very respectful to the authors and encourages conversation. So I'm going ahead and doing it this time. 4 DNFs, 4 very different reasons. If you've read these, please weigh in the comments. I would love to know your thoughts. This is Charlotte's Control by Maggie Sims. I think the long and short of it is, for me, this is more along the lines of erotica, and there is BDSM in this, which makes me highly anxious. I'm not judging anyone who enjoys that, but for me, I just get worried. Just get worried. We have a woman who's a widow. She's roughly 10 years older than our hero, which is again refreshing, seeing the reverse age gap as it is commonly known. But he is very young. He's like 19, and she's constantly referring to him as like a puppy and things like that. And I just was like, People that loved it, one of the things they said is that he is a cinnamon roll. He is a doll. But for me, no. I was shocked that I DNF'd The Shots You Take by Rachel Reed. Shocked. I adore this woman. I loved Time to Shine. I loved it. So I assumed that I would love The Shots You Take. The writing in this one was specifically my issue. It felt basic to me. And this is my wondering. I have been reading so much historical romance recently, if you couldn't tell, that I'm wondering if I'm getting to a point where it's almost jarring to go from the type of historical romance that I'm reading to an contemporary hockey romance, like the style. Like, my brain wasn't ready. It just felt too basic. I'm curious, has anyone ever noticed this? Did you read this book? Do let me know what you thought. I might try to pick this up again at another time because I love hockey romance. I love Rachel Reed. But every time I went to my Kindle to pick this up, I just could not connect with the text. So I decided it was better for me just to DNF, not give it a rating, and move on, because I certainly wasn't going to help this author or this book or my viewers by leaving a full-on rated review of this text. Another book that I DNF'd recently that we discussed at length last night when we had our Tea and Biscuits book club reading sprints with friends was When Jess Wainwright's Curiosity Was Satisfied by Andrea Janelle. I love Andrea Janelle. She's amazing. Her writing is beautiful. She was on the morning show the other day doing a read aloud of part of this book. She's a teacher, and he steals her microscope and refuses to give it back to her until she gives him some kisses. That made me mad. Give her back her microscope. See, I'm getting mad again. I feel like I need to change my mind and give it a chance. She gave me the arc for this. I told her that I just couldn't continue because I was so mad at the hero, which is probably means that she's just a great writer. But I was mad, couldn't do it. I've actually enlisted some friends to read this and report back to me, because Andrea even said in the video that she sent us in the morning show, she is writing an epic character redemption story. So if I had just just hung on, I could have seen him redeemed maybe, but I was too mad. If you do read this, let me know your thoughts. And last but not least, Sarah Bennett. This, similarly to good old Up All Night with a Good Duke, it wasn't that there were too many plots per se, or maybe there were. There were too many characters. I DNF'd this at 50%. Again, I just didn't want to hurt the author, my audience. I was very clear. I did not leave a rating because I didn't finish. As I went on, there were just more characters being introduced. Each of them had their own backstory. We were getting further from the romance. And at this point, there's just so many books in the sea. And I have so many arcs that I need to read that I was like, okay, I think it's time to just say, no, thank you. It actually starts out really, really, really well. It's a billiards game between a rogue and a gal who's just trying to start her season. He should not be taking her away, and they should not be on their own, and they get caught, and she gets in trouble, and she has to leave. And then he tries to make it up to her. But is she willing to let him, is the question. And it is still a question that I have because I DNF'd it. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Have you ever read a book where there were just so many characters that you were feeling like you might need to get a notepad and a pen out? You know what I'm saying? So that was that. Those were my books. What did you read in the month of March? Was your March as crazy as mine? Let us know in the comments. Or you can just leave me an emoji that expresses how you were feeling most of the time in March. Hopefully it's a good one. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is that you're reading in whatever month you're in. Until next time, thanks so much. Take care. Bye.
Those little moments, the best you did.